Well, I think really how you effectively manage in a crisis is how you manage leading up to the crises that you're going to find at some period of time. So my management style has always been don't get too high, don't get too low, so that people are looking at you when you hit a crisis to see how you're reacting to it. But what we try to do effectively during a crisis is communicate more than ever. And I will generally break it down into peer groups within our organization. So I will bring in all the shareholders and we'll talk about what's going on. Then I'll bring in all the non-shareholders, particularly our brokers, to talk about what's going on and what we're going to do. Then I'll bring all the administrative staff in also to let them know, so that everyone within the organization is being communicated to as to what we're planning on doing, how we're going to go about doing it, and what we think the ultimate results will be. And that's what they want to hear. What do you have planned? How are we going to get through it? How are we going to survive? And so if we tell them the picture of what's going on and how they're going to be a part of it. Generally, you have a one-to-one conversation with them, and it's not a single conversation. It's a conversation over a period of time. And what I try to do is not sit there and dwell on their poor performance. What I do is try to work out a plan with them as to how we're going to go forward and how they want me to measure them as we go forward. So I make them part of the solution as we go forward. So if the poor performance continues over a period of time, we're measuring it against what they said the matter should be versus what I've set up as to how we should be measuring them. Best advice that I've received through the years was that there's always two stories when you have a conflict, and so that you want to get both sides of the story before you make a decision as to how you're going to react to it. And then also part of the advice too was you don't necessarily need to make a decision immediately in all situations, and sometimes it's better to give it 24 hours to think about than to immediately react back to someone. So waiting to make a decision or waiting to react has always served me well through the years. I'd say Johnny Wooden was probably the one person that I might admire more than anyone else. He was able to mold a team with the resources and the people that he had. He didn't make every team wasn't the same. He looked and said, okay, what are my strengths that I have with this particular group of people, and we need to play to those strengths, as opposed to having a set process in place that he expected every team to follow. I think it's a collection of all those. I mean, all those are primarily members of my family, all the way from my wife Mindy down through our 5 kids and also our grandchildren. So it kind of tells a story through your lifetime, as to you can just, when things are getting a little bit tough, you can just kind of relax and look back and think of all the fond memories that are along these ledges here of the pictures of your family. Originally coming with the Tucker Company. It varies depending upon meetings. I'll get here anywhere between 7 and 8:30. It depends on meetings, but generally stay a little bit later. I'll leave between 5:30 and 7 in the evening. I just finished a couple sports books. One, the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, 2.5 Men, right around 18. Golden Retriever. We have a Golden Retriever, and he leads a life of leisure.